So, good day, friends. This is Dr. Bob Hamilton, and you have tuned in today to the Hamilton Review. So, thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. My subtitle is Where Kids and Culture Collide. You all know that. And there's a lot going on in this culture right now. So, I'm trying to bring to you, my listeners, relevant individuals who will speak to the culture and speak to issues which I think are extremely important. And today I'm gonna introduce you to someone who's on the front line of doing exactly that. Before I begin, I want to say thank you for tuning in. It means a lot to me. If you like what you hear, if you're enjoying this show, I hope you are. I ask that you share it with friends, pass it on. The reason for that is, as I say every week, I tell you, it's not for me, it's for the people that come on my show, spend time with me. And today is we have a special individual. She is a mother of three children. She is a etiquette teacher, instructor, and speaker. Her name is Elizabeth Ann Russell. She's a third generation etiquette instructor. She's the founder of a company called Manorly and also the Charlotte School of Etiquette. She has over 16 years of experience in corporate strategy and lifetime passion for kindness and character. Talk about where kids and culture collide. She teaches others to lead with grace at home, in the workplace, and in the world. She is a UNC, which is University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill alumnus, and she also has an MBA from Queen's University, which is in Charlotte, North Carolina as well. And she's married. They have three beautiful children, two girls, one boy. And she thinks that parenting is her highest calling and believes that every child, every professional deserves the confidence that comes with knowing how to show up with kindness and respect. And to all of that, Elizabeth Ann, I say amen. Thank you for with the work that you do.
Well, thank you, Bob. I'm absolutely honored to have an invitation to join you today and have this conversation.
So, what I like to do in my podcast is I like to have you, my guest, introduce yourself. So, I'm gonna turn my microphone off, kind of, and let you have the floor. So, Elizabeth Ann Russell, tell us a little bit about your story.
Would love to share and also how I ended up here. So, I grew up in a small town west of Charlotte in Gastonia, North Carolina. I went to Chapel Hill for my undergraduate degree in business, University of North Carolina. Grew up a Tar Heel through and through. My grandfather played basketball for UNC, so I think there was little doubt in my mind where I wanted to go. So that was a fabulous experience. My mom was an etiquette instructor. She taught for 30 years, as did her mother, who lived across the street from me. It was wonderful growing up with so much family nearby. My mom, who I could spend the entire hour talking about how wonderful and strong she was, passed away when I was a senior in college.
Mm,
And that very much changed my life. And it became a dream to one day walk in her shoes by also teaching these others these life skills. Um, I decided to go into the corporate world where I've been for 16 plus years. Was in consulting and corporate strategy. And when I started having children of my own, started looking for an etiquette program similar to what my mom taught when I was younger.
yeah.
Didn't find anything in town and decided to take a chance on a dream that I'd had for a long time. So we launched this company spring of 2024. It has been incredibly well received here in the Charlotte community, and we are just so excited for what the Manorly brand may bring in the future.
Amazing. So I love the fact that you have kind of picked up the mantle, if you will, of your mother and your grandmother too. Remarkable. A lot of kids don't want to do what their parents do. The fact that you want to indicates to me a great esteem for your mother. and her calling, if you will, and what she was doing. And clearly, you have kind of you're at a very interesting time in American history, because I think that when I look around and I listen to um, the news and I listen to people talk, I listen to, rap music or any music actually, it's kind of filled with a lot of what can I say? Things that I would have never been allowed to say as a child, put it that way, and also ideas and thoughts and everything, and this idea of the of etiquette, the idea of manners and treating people with kindness. Why do people? Before we get into the kind of the details of what you're doing, let me ask you a question. Why are manners important?
Dr. Bob, it's a great question. It's a question I ask my students when we have our first class together. We will sit at this beautiful table with china and silverware and glassware, and I'll ask them, what's the most important part of this table? And they'll raise their hand. Oh, Mrs. Russell, it's the napkin. It's this silver fork. I'm like, no, it's you. It's the person sitting across the table from you. That is what's most important. And that is why we practice etiquette. The heart of this program is putting others before ourselves. And there are ways in which we can do that. And we hope to provide children and adults with tools to show up with confidence in these social situations.
Yeah, it's a matter of being, I think, a servant. You rather than assuming that everybody is falling in line with you, you stop, you listen, you put other people in front of you, and that really is a manifestation of kindness and thoughtfulness and character. You say character in your introduction here. I mentioned that word. Tell us, what does character mean to you?
So we talk about characteristics of noble character in my classes. So honesty and integrity, helpfulness. And we have each child think about these character traits and how do we want to be remembered? How do we want our parents and our teachers and our friends to think of us? So we
Yeah.
pick a trait and we hone in on that. And those character traits are really the foundation of good manners and then actually of etiquette.
Do you find so the kids that you're now interacting with, how old are they now?
So our Charlotte Etiquette program in person in Charlotte is for kindergarten through fourth grade students. And then we have a Cotillion program for fifth grade to eighth grade students. And then we
Okay.
also teach seasoned professionals. So going into corporations and teaching these classes for business professionals as well.
That's wonderful. And yeah, maybe you need to focus on the adults before you get to the kids. Just throwing that out there for your corporation strategy there. Um, I think that my hunch is that when people show manners, when people show kindness to others, and they do really truly put people first. First of all, they ingratiate themselves to other people. And I think that success, and I know that you do some C-suite uh, conversations with people and seminars. People who win in this world are people who generally show kindness to other people. Is that your observation?
It's there's a lot of research around this as well, and I'm sure you've seen that, Dr. Bob. Our success in life is a small portion will be our technical skill set, and a large portion is our social skill set, and it's how we are interacting and treating others with kindness and honor and dignity and respect, which is what we're hoping to promote.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think that there's a kind of this concept out there in the world of do your own thing, and be your own person, be your there's this kind of this narcissistic uh, ideologies is kind of inbred in the culture right now. And I mean, your thoughts about that, just briefly.
Well, I think the time is now to offer something like this. I think there's a greater need today than ever before to encourage others to pause, look around you before you simply go through a doorway. Can I open the door for someone other than myself? Can you see and acknowledge and have this awareness of others? And what does that kindness do, right? There's this
Yeah.
ripple effect in even those small gestures.
Um, I'm going to get to the Manorly and also Charlotte etiquette, but I want to ask one question. When you say open the door for others, there's a little bit, and this is, I don't mean to slight any, feminists or ladies, but is that still okay for guys to open doors for women? Because
Like,
there's a little bit of this thing where don't open the door for me, I can do it myself. Okay, I understand that. I'm surrounded by capable and competent women. I have four daughters of my own, and they can open doors. I can promise you that. Tell me a little bit about that. Are you teaching those kind of manners where young men should actually open the door for for young women? Because this is very regressive, dear.
it is, and it is a little chivalrous. We believe we are equal, a bit different. There are some antiquated etiquette rules, in my opinion, where we once said that women shouldn't stand to shake hands. We teach all of our students to stand as a sign of honor and respect for other people to shake hands. We teach all of our students to hold doors for other people, regardless of who it is. If they're behind them, it's a simple gesture of
Yep,
kindness.
of kindness. Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, I want to allow you to tell us a little about Mannerly and Charlotte Etiquette. First of all, these are two different entities. So can you kind of clarify to everyone listening what you're doing here?
Yes. So Manorly is our family company, our parent company, if you will, which is our vehicle in which we hope to share etiquette and manners through training and tools to people around the world. Charlotte Etiquette is our local in-person etiquette school in Charlotte, North Carolina, where we have classes in person for new learners to seasoned professionals. Manorly encompasses our virtual etiquette classes where we have private coaching and also group classes. And it also includes our stationery line, Manorly Paper, where we provide personalized thank you notes and fill in the blank thank you cards for students to really encourage the art of gratitude and sending mail.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that I mentioned this before we went on air here that when you actually get a card or a note from somebody handwritten, it has such powerful impact. Yes, email is very efficient. Yes, texting is very efficient. But there's something about the written word where they actually look at your handwriting and go, "Oh, it's interesting. They're the way they write their B's or their L's or whatever." I think it says a little bit about who you are as a person too. Um,
Agree.
Interesting. Well, I love so you have a Mannerly stationery brand. Is that
Do. It's called
that's
Manorly Paper. And you
okay?
can
Mannerly
find
paper.
all of
Okay.
this at manorly.com.
Okay. So the whole thing you can access at mannerly.com.
Yes.
We mentioned also that you're going to be doing an online programming. Tell us where you're at with that whole part of your company.
So still under development, but what we are offering today are virtual private coaching lessons and also virtual etiquette courses. So
Okay.
those that are outside of Charlotte are able to join us online for classes. And we are actively working on physical digital offerings that will be available soon.
Well, hopefully you will expand this and every classroom in the entire country will be logging into mannerly.com and getting a little dose of your etiquette and your teaching of manners because we all need it. You said this is brand new. This happened a year ago that you started this company. It was the spring of 24. Is that correct?
Um, Spring of 24 was the idea. Our first true class, we're getting ready to hit a year in just a couple weeks here this summer. Um,
Wow.
Early August 2025.
You said to me that there has been this, I mean, people have been highly receptive of what you're doing. Tell us a little bit about why. I mean, what they're, obviously they're coming into this, they're putting their kids in it. Why are they so excited?
I think there's a couple reasons. I think as parents, we are looking for someone to echo and reinforce what we're teaching at home. So I think
Yeah,
a lot of my students, they hear this message at home, and I get to be shoulder to shoulder with parents in reinforcing what they are already teaching. I think a group setting makes such a difference for our young learners to be learning alongside of their peers. Um, and I just think as a parent, we're all looking for guidance. We know that we want to raise kind, confident children that are able to go out and make friends and build relationships and respect others. And it is, I mean, it is the joy of my life to play a small part in that and
yeah.
offering guidance and in these courses.
So your classes go for how long, Elizabeth Ann?
So for the Charlotte Etiquette, I have 6 courses that I offer. Some are for both boys and girls, some are just for girls, divided by age group. Each course meets for 3 sessions, each an hour in length.
Okay, so there are basically 3 hours is what you're saying. Three
Yes,
sessions, each
per
an
course.
hour.
Yes.
Do people sign up for several of them, like all six? You said
Yes.
6 classes. Is that correct? Six classes.
In,
What are
in
they, by
one
the
year.
way? What
In one
what?
year, and they would repeat them the next year.
Okay,
I have a primary etiquette course, so it would be introductions and first impressions, some basics around table manners, friendship and inclusion skills. I have a dining etiquette course where we get more into the intricacies of manners at home versus manners in a restaurant versus different types of restaurants and what they may look like. And again, this is not about perfection, but this is about making our children confident and comfortable at every table so that they can focus on the people that they're with. I have an art of conversation course, um, which is a lot of fun with these students. I have a goodness and grace course, which is just for girls. There's 2 parts of that. It ends in a tea party on the last day, which is so much fun to kind of culminate and practice in a fun setting with these young ladies. And then I have a perfect gentleman course for just boys.
so this is very very interesting. So a couple of things. Number one, the art of conversation. Give us a couple tips about the art of conversation, because conversation. By the way, the conversations are becoming less common. At least real conversations. We have these interactions on Zooming, and we have other texting, and we're going on. But kids these days are not spending as much time together in these, face to face as we did as when we were kids. You know this, because of the digital age we live in, and also the pandemic didn't help at all as well. But tell us about the art of conversation. Can you give us a couple pointers to those people out there who need help, including me?
So, so with our young learners, we want to see this practice around the dinner table with your parents, right? And having confidence in speaking with adults, that, again, outside of your home, but beginning at the dinner table with your family. So we teach our children a series of different games. There are questions that you can ask around the table. We teach balanced conversations that are much like a tennis match. Dr. Bob, you toss a baseball to me, I toss it back to you. That's a balanced conversation with questions and answers going back and forth. Versus being a ball dropper, right? You don't want to have someone ask you a question and just drop the ball, or a ball hog where I'm taking the ball and I just keep tossing it in the air because I love talking about myself and all the great things that I am, and over exaggerating it all. So I think having an awareness of what a balanced conversation looks like, and then we can begin to practice at home.
Yeah. A friend of mine had to kind of segue this. He would say he had like the 20-second rule. He would talk for about 20 seconds and stop. And then if people would say, "How you doing? What are you up to?" And he would talk for like 20 seconds, and then he would stop. And then they would go, "Well, tell me more. What about this?" And then he would talk for, in other words, take a break. Don't like there. I know people in my life that I don't want to ask that question, "How are you doing?" Because that's a half an hour conversation. That's a half an hour of input from that
Yes.
person. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yes. And so I think that that's a good rule. I'm not sure 20 seconds is long enough per se, but I think that you get the concept, and this is what you're teaching. That I love that tennis analogy. It's a beautiful analogy. Um, how do people who are shy initiate conversations?
That is a great question. So when it comes to meeting new people and feeling a little nervous, or if you're feeling shy, like you said, and going on to have conversation, we also, before I answer that question, we talk about body language and how teaching our children to stand up tall and making their body as big as possible is going to make them feel more confident on the inside.
Right.
Um, I'm sure you've read Amy Cuddy's work around presence. Um, and it not only changes how we feel, but it changes how others perceive us. So first teaching our students to stand up nice and tall, even when they're feeling nervous, to initiate conversation, and then to have some questions prepared, almost like a script. As an adult, I have questions prepared before I go into a cocktail party because I never want to ask the question no one wants to answer, which is, what do you do? You don't want to, what do you do for a living, right? That's so transactional. We want to find different questions and have our children prepared with those so that when they're faced with meeting a new friend, they're ready.
Yeah. How do you avoid that question? How do you get around what do you do? Because I asked that question more than once.
Let's let's think about how we can connect around how do you know the host, right? That's a good way to form connection and building relationship. Or how have you been spending your time this week? Which opens the door for lots of things, but that may not be work focused, which may not be where you define your identity.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, everybody, that's a good way to put it. I like these. Okay, so you also have one about the perfect gentleman for the boys only. What do you teach young boys about being a perfect gentleman?
So in that class, which I, one of my favorite classes to teach, I think all of them are my favorite, Dr. Bob, but the Perfect Gentleman classes are very special. We use baseball cards to describe, if you read on the back that these are the stats, this is how you know this player. Now, how do you want others to think about you in terms of characteristics of noble character? Um, and have these, and we have a great conversation around character and how others perceive us and how we're known by those attributes. And we get to pick out how we are presented in this world.
That's good. And what are the conclusions that these young guys uh,
I
end up landing on?
I love hearing these young students say, I want to be known for empathy. I want to be known for honesty. I want to be known for helpfulness. So then their assignment is to that week, let's go and practice and let's talk about what that was like and what were the things that you did that were helpful. Well, I saw my mom, her arms were full of groceries. I helped her into the door. I opened my mom's car door for her. The emails I get from parents after classes and the ways that these students go off and apply what we've talked about. I mean, it's really cool.
That's very cool. So I was going to ask that question. So the result of all of this, I mean, you're filling them with a full hour, which is a long time, 3 hours actually, each session. The result of these, so you're getting emails, you're getting responses from parents. Speak to that a little bit.
The feedback from parents um, is incredible. I need to do a better job of sharing these testimonials and just kind of the verbatim of what I'm hearing from these parents. I brought my son to, over to a lunch table to meet a coworker, and he stood to shake this person's hand with using his first and last name. I we were setting the table for dinner, which, by the way, our students leave that and they can set the table with speed and precision. There's a lot of games around table setting. But I had a mom say, my youngest son pulled the chair out for me before we sat down at the table. Just these small gestures where they're listening
Yeah.
and they want to go and practice, which is fun.
Well, if nothing else, Elizabeth Ann, you're teaching these guys how to be waiters and waitresses.
And isn't that the goal, Dr. Bob, to be able to go and serve others? Right?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, if, people who are waiters and waitresses, they really are serving us, the client, the customer who walks in the door. And there's, I will say that, in Europe, for example, in nice restaurants, the waiters and waitresses, this is their job. This is they look at this as being their calling, their what they want, they do for their life. This is their income. It isn't like you're just kind of a college student trying to make a couple bucks. You know that. It's a
Yeah.
different thing. Even if you're a college student trying to make a couple bucks, I still think that if you learn some of the things you're talking about right now, you probably get bigger tips. That's my hunch. Um, you do. I want to talk a little bit about Cotillion, but also you have a class for girls only. What are you teaching the girls?
So a lot of conversation skills, and one of the tips that I love to share with my girls, because I think it applies to adults as well, it's something we all tend to do, is when you are having a conversation with a small group, instead of forming a circle, think about forming a horseshoe shape with your circle of friends, which physically makes it easier for someone else to come and be included in the conversation. So lots of tips and guidance around how to expand our friendship circles in those ways.
Very sweet. Very sweet. You've segued now into an older group of kids.
Yes.
And you, Cotillion. I will say that my older son was in Cotillion. I'm not sure he liked it that much. I mean, he learned ballroom dancing, and I'm not sure he's ever used that per se. But tell us about Cotillion, and what does Cotillion mean, by the way? Is there a meaning for the word Cotillion?
So it is an old word which means dance, but it is also, in my mind, refers to a Southern tradition where boys and girls are coming together in this very wholesome environment to learn manners and ballroom dance. We are, with a nod to that Southern tradition, retaining the word cotillion, but updating it in such a way so that it's the majority. We're looking at social etiquette, and we will have small brain breaks of ballroom dance because I want these students to truly use what they're learning once they leave our classroom.
Okay, and you teach them ballroom dancing. I don't know. Is ballroom dancing? I mean, I've gone to a couple of weddings lately,
Yeah.
and they're not ballroom dancing. These kids are jumping up and down like they're like popcorn. Okay, like boom, boom, boom.
There's
Is
a
where is ballroom dancing being performed?
So I think this is a fabulous question, and I have recently validated this from a recently graduated group of college students from UNC Chapel Hill. They are still using the shag swing at college sororities and fraternity parties. So this is still being used. But we teach the foxtrot and the shag swing. So very simply, two wholesome partner dances that are easy to learn will be
Yeah,
used again at a wedding, and hopefully just a lot of smiles in the process.
sweet. Well, I listen. I still envy people who can dance. I'm not a dancer, I look at them and I kind of go, I almost feel, and I don't feel too much envy about a lot of things, but when I see people who can really dance well, I do feel a sense of envy. I hate to admit that, but you see these people who can just kind of float around the dance floor, and you kind of go, how do you teach your feet to do that? It's amazing. Um, so how where is this all going? Do you think that and going back to kind of a bigger picture, our nation, um, I worry about this, and this may sound like a weird thing, but I sometimes worry that the barbarians are winning. Do you ever get that feeling?
I think I think the end of the story is that kindness wins. I think that's the end of the story. I think what we're seeing may not always be encouraging, but I don't think that's the end of the story.
Yeah, it's a good answer. I think that that's one of the things that I kind of worry about a little bit. I look around, I kind of go, I'm not liking what I'm seeing here. But I think you're right. I think ultimately, end of the day, there will be. I think that the pendulum may be swinging in a different direction right now. And I'm hoping that, the language that we hear on television, the what you hear in just the vernacular when you're out with people, the amount of profanity which you hear much more than I remember as a kid. I'm sure that's true for you too. Is that right?
I would agree. It's yes, agree.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I look at that and I kind of go, am I just a square trying to fit into a round hole? I don't know. I look at that and I don't like that. What you're doing is you're elevating people, you're elevating children, and hopefully that will continue as a pattern of life as they age. Um, is that's your hope, of course, right?
That is the goal, that these children are able to present the best version of themselves so that they are able to build relationships with others through honor and dignity and respect that lasts.
So your mother, you knew some of your mother's students, right? When you were a kid.
Yes.
What happened to this investment that your mother and your grandmother made to a degree, but you would know your mother's students better than your grandmother's, I'm sure. Where are these people? Are they still, are they, do they still draw? That's a long time ago. Are they drawing off of these experiences that they learned as children?
It's a great question, and I love to talk to her former students because I love to hear stories about my mom, to coincide with my own memories of her. And it's fun to hear, I'll remember, I remember classes with your mom, and it taught me to be how to interact in a certain scenario. And I used that on my first date, or I used that when I met, my future in-laws for the first time, or I used that at my first job interview. So these big moments when you're wanting to make a good first impression, and going back
Yeah,
to research, we say we don't have a second chance to make a first impression, but we have less than a second to actually make a first impression.
right.
Um, we want to give ourselves the opportunity to present the best version.
I'm kind of thinking about the movie Hillbilly Elegy. Did you see that movie by any chance about J.D. Vance? There's a scene where he goes to a dinner and he's confronted by all these spoons and forks and he doesn't know what to do with it all because he doesn't know which spoon to use for the soup or the fork for the salad, and he's kind of thrown off. So he has a girlfriend who is obviously has been instructed on these things, and he runs out of the room and calls his girlfriend and says, "What do I do with this?" And so I think that you do build confidence in who you are when you actually know some of these things. What are all these, when you're talking about a table setting, it's really actually you're teaching these kids what it is to be an adult. You're teaching them to have that confidence because if you really don't know, um, you feel intimidated.
Correct. And you will spend the entire dinner deciding which fork you're going to pick up versus listening to what someone else is saying. And we
Yep,
want your attention to be on who you're with.
that's right. You're distracted, and you feel like, oh my gosh, you're a fish out of water, and that's not a good feeling. I think we've all felt that at times, and that's not a good feeling. So you're instilling confidence in these kids, and that's such a profound thing. Um, so you're the next step in what you're doing then is you are building your online presence. I think that's brilliant. The world is, I mean, look at this conversation here. We're having this via Zoom. So the world is definitely becoming much more online, much more digital. That's where people are really. And so I applaud that. I beg for you to do that. Um, do you have any thoughts about approaching schools and maybe presenting this to like elementary schools in some kind of a format? Is that something you've thought about?
I have not explored that, but I would love to look into that, Dr. Bob.
I think that my hunch is that you're going to find a lot of people who are going to be very, very open to what you're doing, because I think that people are looking around saying, you know what? we want to see our kids lifted up. We want to see our kids elevated. We want to see them reaching higher rather than going the other way. Okay. And I just a thought. I'm just curious if you have thought that thought. Right now, you're going to go do an online. Do you have other affiliates? Do you have any other people in the country right now that you're working with to kind of put this into maybe you know, I guess branding what you're doing? Has that happened?
In terms of replicating, no. I have a wonderful mentor in Birmingham, Alabama. Her name is Amy Rayner, um, who is teaching etiquette programs in Birmingham. Um, but I'm learning from her. She is here. I feel like since I don't have my mom to call for a lot of these scenarios, she has so graciously become that person in my life.
Yeah. So you have people that you're looking to. I'm curious, I don't really know. I don't know if they have Cotillion here in Los Angeles anymore. I really don't know. In Santa Monica, where I'm at. Are these programs, there are other programs obviously out there. Are they thriving? Or are they not thriving? Where are they at in terms of drawing, kids into the programs?
I, in terms of looking at the landscape, I'm hoping that what we're creating is differentiated in that it is updated for the kids today and what they're facing today. Um, I think tradition of these programs are wonderful, and certain traditions should remain alive, but I want what these students learn to be relevant for their classrooms and for their social gatherings and for their sports teams and what that looks like in 2025.
Yeah. No, I think it's all relevant. I think that kindness, as you said, kindness will win. And I think that is actually I think that's exactly true. And that's my hope. That's certainly my hope. And that's one reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. In terms of this podcast, I'm trying to see kids, uh, doing things that are productive, and certainly learning manners and learning how to treat people in a kind way is a very productive thing to do. So listen, I'm looking at our time and also thinking about our listeners. I want you to tell everyone how they can find you again. Where are you at on the internet?
So you can find everything about us at Manorly.com, Mannerly.com.
.com. Okay, everything about Charlotte etiquette and everything. Um, well, listen, Elizabeth Ann Russell, you are a treat. You are doing something extremely important. Um, you're teaching kids how to be adults. You're teaching kids how to think about other people. And listen, kids famously are a little bit self-centered. Um, you know that. We all know that, especially having children and me being a pediatrician, being around kids. Not all of them, of course, but there's a tendency for human beings to do that, right? And so I love what you're doing. You're basically shaking the paradigm. You're saying, hold on, there are other people in this world, and there are ways that you can serve them and bless them and be kind to them. You're doing good work, Elizabeth Ann. So thank you for what you're doing. I wish Mannerly .com the very, very best. Friends, if you're listening, I encourage you to go on Elizabeth Ann Russell's website. Have you written any books or anything like that by any chance? I don't know that.
Dr. Bob, I have 3 that I'm working on at the moment. Not ready to share titles, but actively writing. Correct. Yes.
So you're actively writing 3
Yeah.
books, okay?
Yeah.
And 3, not 1. You decided to do 3 at a time?
I have 3 children. It's, sometimes
Okay, that's amazing.
all at once.
I wrote 1 book and it just about killed me. And so it's a lot of work to do 1 book, but if you're doing 3, there's another reason for me to bow at your feet and appreciate you. So that's amazing. Well, listen, write the books, get them out. When you do, please give me a call and I will have you on and we'll talk about your books as well. So Elizabeth Ann Russell, thank you for taking the time to be on the Hamilton Review today.
Thank you, Dr. Bob.
And friends, thank you all for tuning into this podcast. I want everyone to think about this. Manners are really foundational. People who have manners win friends, they win respect, and they just win in life in general. So, this is actually a very, very important conversation, very important issue. So, I hope you're all taking it to heart. And with that being said, thank you for tuning in today to the Hamilton Review. Until next time, be well. Bye bye.
You have been listening to the Hamilton Review, where kids and culture collide. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of your day. Tune in again next week on Apple Podcast. Rate and comment and tell a friend.